Props to the Jaguars for playing tough, playing hard, and doing just about everything they could to knock off the Titans and keep hope alive, but sometimes you're just outmatched, and this is pretty much what happened in that game. The Titans are a better team than the Jaguars, and eventually that helped them come out on top in a game where you had like 20 total penalties, and penalty flags were just flying left and right, which, you know, always can interrupt the flow of a game. But seriously, Jacksonville, they stopped the run for most of the game. They forced Kerry Collins to beat them, and eventually he did. At first he wasn't. He threw a pick. He couldn't move the Titans offense. And eventually they forgot to cover Justin Gage, which is something that should never happen. Well, I guess you can kind of forget to cover Justin Gage because he sucks, but just when you think that, he'll do something like that to you, you know? And the Titans did pull away with big plays to Justin Gage, and eventually the running game did kick in. Other than that, you know, the Titans defense played great against Jacksonville for the most part, held them to 250 yards. Garrard very inefficient for the most part. Jacksonville running game actually played pretty well. Jones, Drew, and Taylor, nice games from them. They gave it all they had. Really, this Titans defense is starting to ebb a little bit against the run. I want to see them play the run a little bit better before I crown anybody's ass, you know. Nothing else to say here. It's just Jacksonville played them tough, but ultimately Kerry Collins proved that if I have to beat you, I will. Let's see, Chargers, Steelers. You know, there's been a lot being made of this game. You guys have heard about the Polamalu touchdown that got called back, but then it didn't, but then it did. I don't know why this is such a big deal, given the game was already over. And nobody's talking about a similar situation in the Packers-Vikings game. Something very similar happened that affected the outcome of the game. Nobody cares. I don't get it. Anyway, this game, 1, 2, 3, fire Norv Turner. You know, after last year they made the AFC Championship game. I kept my mouth shut. I was like, maybe this was the right choice. I'm out. Fire Norv Turner. San Diego got all the calls. Pittsburgh had 13 penalties called against them. San Diego got every call, and they still lost. Pittsburgh mounted 410 total yards of offense and 9 points. They were turning it over in the red zone. They were failing on fourth down. They were missing kicks. They were being very inefficient. And San Diego still lost. Because really everything for the Pittsburgh offense was clicking. They ran the ball well. They passed the ball well. Everybody was chipping in and having a good game, but they could not score. Again, San Diego had many opportunities to blow the game apart, punch the ball in the end zone. You know, they missed a field goal, I think. I think they turned it over in the red zone once. Just everything you could imagine. Rivers, very poor game. LT, okay game, not really what they need out of him, you know. They need more. None of the receivers stepped up. Defense got good pressure on Ben Roethlisberger, but that's not an achievement. That's something that every defense in the league seems to be able to do. They couldn't force turnovers, and they couldn't stop Pittsburgh on the last drive when it really counted. And, you know, as for Pittsburgh, playing Ben over Leftwich paid off eventually. He had a very nice day. Again, Pittsburgh was moving the ball up and down the field, but they could not score. And sometimes that stuff is just difficult to explain. I know Jeff Reed missed a field goal. I know they had turnovers and stuff, but it's weird. Pittsburgh defense came up big with some timely pressure. They picked up the safety, couple of big interceptions, and kept them in the game. Really just single-handedly kept them in this one. Cowboys, Redskins. Where do you start? It was a Sunday night game. It was an okay game. It was back and forth. It was a good divisional rival showdown. Romo came back and looked rusty, but he ended up having a decent game. Barber played well and took over the game in the second half. That last drive, so much has been said about it, obviously, but yeah, he played great. Where is Tashard Choice? I don't think enough is being made of this. I want to see some Tashard Choice out of there. He's touched the ball like, 10 times this year at most. Get him the ball more. It's worth a try. It's better than what you got right now, because Barber is not a full-time back. In hopes that Romo's return would spark some sort of superhuman effort from this offense, I started Owens and Williams in 2 different fantasy leagues. I won both games, but that didn't work out for me, obviously. Really, Cowboys' offense was Barber, and that's about it. Really, the most impressive defensively, though, Newman played great. Not only did he have the pick, he played Santana Moss great all night. He had the tip on 4th down that allowed Dallas to end the game. He was covering Moss left and right. He did an awesome job coming back from injury. Jay Ratliff, DeMarcus Ware, getting good pressure. And, it looked like Washington was in a position to start running away with this game a couple times, and the defense kept them in it because the offense was just being very inefficient early in the game, and defense played out of their minds. I mean, it looked like Dallas was racking up these penalties and they were gonna push themselves right out of the game, but it didn't happen. For the Redskins, Portis played through his injury and played well. Campbell was hit and miss. They just could not get a bit. Their kicker left a makeable field goal, short because of a couple of sacks that made the field goal longer than it should have been. All that, and you get the end result. They had the opportunity to win this game and could not pull it off. Cleveland, Buffalo, great game, back and forth, a little bit of everything you could ask for. I was really pleased with this game. Very good Monday night game. Cleveland side, they got the big play from Jerome Harrison. They got a couple of actually nice catches from Braylon Edwards for once in his life, because that is not his forte, making big catches. Brady Quinn was pretty shaky. He got the win and he didn't turn it over, but he was definitely shaky. Really the Browns offense, looking at the numbers, you wonder how they put up 29 points. It seems like that's a little wrong, but they did. They came up with it. They got the big play from Jerome Harrison. Brady Quinn was lucky enough to not turn things over. Phil Dawson was huge, especially in the clutch at the end, and yeah. Buffalo. Trent Edwards, I don't know what happened to the kid, but he's not uber talented. He's not a prototypical quarterback. He's just very delicate. It's the line between good and bad for a guy like Trent Edwards is very delicate. If he just upsets that balance a little bit, he goes to pieces, if that makes sense. And that's kind of what's happened lately. That's what has happened to Buffalo, really. I mean, they're a team that isn't going to dominate for the most part. They're going to scrap out close wins. They're going to depend on ball control, and it's not happening. It happened the first month of the season, and now they're pretty much out of it. I mean, they would have to put together a great run for the second half of the season just to get back in this, and I don't know if they have it in them. And it's a shame because they wasted a great effort by Marshawn Lynch. And really that's about it. I mean, Marshawn Lynch probably had the best game of his season, and that went to waste. Edwards threw the 3 early interceptions, and at the end the Bills decided to play things super conservative and settle for a 47-yard field goal and wide right. I've seen this one before, I'm just saying. Why wouldn't you drive to get a closer field goal? I don't know. Okay, real quick, because I don't care at all about this game, I'm taking Pittsburgh Thursday night. That's it.